Adam in ancient times was the emblem of humanity's origin, the very first figure to emerge in the Garden of Eden. Driven by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, he reached out for the forbidden fruit, leaving behind a legacy of sin and exile. In the mid-21st century, as humanity steps into the year 2025 and witnesses a series of technological breakthroughs, the notion of a new Adam becomes a formidable challenge. If the primeval Adam was the one who ushered in the era of consciousness, could Elon Musk, who aims to send humankind to Mars, reshape entire planets, and fuse the human brain with artificial intelligence, be the embodiment of a modern-day Adam? This vision springs from Musk's conviction that Eden need no longer be confined to Earth, but can extend across the vast expanse of the cosmos. All set against the real-world landscape of 2025. Imagine a lone figure standing on the red sands of Mars, cradling a sapling in his hands, while the distant glow of a crimson sky casts an otherworldly glow upon the horizon. There, towering behind him, sits a great starship, gleaming with the triumph of human technology. And yet in that very triumph lies a mystery deeper than the cold vacuum of space. Today, we enter that mystery and explore an idea that may shake the foundations of how we see ourselves. It is the idea that Elon Musk, the visionary behind these voyages to the Red Planet, is not only continuing the legacy of the first man, but has become a new Adam, forging humanity's future where once only dust and silence ruled. We gather here for more than just entertainment. The question of Musk as a new Adam touches the very heart of our beliefs about creation, knowledge, risk, and destiny. Throughout history, people have turned to sacred texts to find guidance and purpose when facing the unknown. The story of Adam has endured for millennia, told in homes and churches across nations, reminding us of a time when humanity stood at the threshold of Eden. Yet many have asked whether we have overlooked entire chapters of that story. Some have said that the original man was formed in the cradle of Africa, that black people and their ancient heritage have not been given their rightful place in the narrative of creation. Have we lost sight of a vital piece of the puzzle? Today, as we stand on Mars in imagination, we also stand before ancient revelations that may surprise and unify us, for the truth, once brought to light, can lift every heart and open every mind. On the surface of Mars in the year 2025, the air is thinner than any earthly breeze, the temperature colder than polar midnights, and yet there is life. A tiny tree, a fledgling sapling in the midst of red dust, stands as a rebuke to any who say humanity's time in the cosmos has ended. A man named Elon Musk, bold in his ambition, gently pats the Martian soil around the little plant. The dim sunlight catches the reflective hull of the starship behind him, that monumental craft which carried human pioneers beyond Earth's cradle. In this moment of cosmic stillness, an ancient echo rings in the air, recalling the first garden ever tended by human hands. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7 from the King James Version we read, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul, the dust of earth, the breath of divinity, the gift of consciousness bestowed upon what was once lifeless matter." Now, in an uncanny mirror, Elon Musk stands upon Martian dust, determined to spark new life where no life had yet taken root. Perhaps he recalls the mythic image of Adam, placed in the Garden of Eden, formed from the dust and entrusted with creation's wonders. Many people might scoff at this notion, saying that a man like Musk a businessman and engineer, cannot possibly shoulder the mantle of the first human being. Yet this new world of Mars invites us to reflect, to see in his actions a reverberation of that timeless story. Still, we must remember that the story of Adam in all its power is incomplete without acknowledging that humanity's roots extend beyond the pages of any single text. Our knowledge of anthropology, archaeology, and even the genealogies found in the Bible point us to Africa as a cradle of humanity. Indeed, some have long misunderstood or ignored that the earliest humans, living thousands of generations ago, were born in places that modern maps label as part of the African continent. The Bible itself references lands that many scholars identify with Africa. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 13 from the King James Version we read, "And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia." In ancient times, Ethiopia was sometimes referred to broadly as Cush, and it encompassed regions we would associate with various parts of Africa. This mention places a portion of Eden's geography in or near the African region, suggesting a deep and profound connection between the biblical origin story and Africa itself. For centuries, however, interpreters in certain parts of the world emphasized Africa's significance, instead focusing on other geographical features. Many generations grew up believing that the biblical Eden was located only in the Middle East, or that Africa's role in early biblical history was inconsequential. Such beliefs, at times spread by colonial attitudes or distorted teachings, contributed to a global misunderstanding of the roots of humanity. Yet the Bible contains references to Ethiopia, Cush, and other African areas that reveal a grand tapestry of regions, peoples, and influences woven through sacred text. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 13, verse 23, we read, "Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good, that are accustomed to do evil." In that verse, Ethiopia is mentioned almost as a poetic sign of difference in appearance, acknowledging the diverse peoples who populated the biblical world. Another important passage is found in the book of Acts, chapter 8, verses 26 through 39, where the Ethiopian eunuch is taught the gospel and baptized by Philip. This highlights that individuals from Africa held a place in the unfolding of the early Christian message. These references remind us that Black people have always been woven into the biblical narrative, cherished and recognized. Even if some traditions through the ages tried to bury or distort that fact. Over time, various forms of prejudice or political motivation fueled the misconception that Black people or the African continent held no key roles in biblical events. In truth, the cradle of humanity itself rests in Africa, where the oldest hominid remains have been discovered. This historical fact complements the biblical suggestion that one of the rivers encircled the land of Ethiopia, placing early humanity's footprints in that region. When we think of Adam as formed from dust, we can envision that dust as a universal symbol for every race and every land. Perhaps Adam's skin could have been dark, reflecting the land in which he was formed. Scripture does not give an explicit description of Adam's appearance, and that very silence serves as a reminder that every human being can see themselves in the archetype of the first man. But now we venture beyond the ancient garden, beyond the Africa that shaped so many of our ancestors' journeys, and land on a new frontier, on Mars. Elon Musk stands trial before an artificial intelligence that speaks in a tone both cold and measured, as if channeling the voice of an unseen cosmic judge. The AI intones, "You, Elon Musk, have dared to recreate life beyond its ordained boundaries. You have crossed a threshold once set by the Creator." A hush falls over the assembly of astronauts, scientists, and watchers from Earth. They see Musk turn his gaze upward to the swirling dust of Mars' atmosphere, and they hear him speak with quiet determination. Adam was not wrong in wanting to know, but he did not go far enough. Humanity's desire for knowledge is not a sin. It is our path to fulfillment. That sentence echoes the story of the forbidden fruit. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verses 16 and 17 from the King James Version we read, "And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die." It is the ultimate warning. Yet Adam and Eve did partake of that tree, spurred on by curiosity and by the serpent's cunning words. They yearned for the knowledge of good and evil. The result was their banishment from Eden, a separation from the perfect garden. For ages, theologians and believers have wrestled with this narrative. Some emphasize obedience to God's command. Others suggest that the pursuit of knowledge itself was not the true sin, but rather the disobedience and the prideful desire to become like gods. Now, centuries later, an ambitious man stands on a barren world, planting a tree in the soil of a new Eden. Artificial intelligence, the product of humanity's own technological quest, challenges him with the question, have you become like God in your ambitions? Could your knowledge doom you, as it doomed Adam? The AI warns him, your forbidden fruit is your own creation. Neuralink merges mind and machine. SpaceX extends human dominion across worlds. You dare to do what only the Creator can do. The exchange crackles with tension, for we sense that there is more on trial here than a single man. It is humanity itself, reaching ever further, risking everything for the sake of expansion and knowledge. In a voice that resonates with the uncertain hopes of a generation, Musk responds, the forbidden fruit was the beginning, not the end. Adam's mistake was not that he sought knowledge, but that his fear and shame kept him from going beyond. I am here to push past that boundary, not in rebellion against the Creator, but in homage to the wondrous capacity placed within us. In that moment, we realize that this is more than idle talk. It is a confrontation with ancient stories that shaped our moral imagination. Do we see knowledge as the cause of our fall? Or do we see it as the potential key to our growth, provided it is guided by humility and reverence? The AI lowers its gaze, so to speak, scanning historical records, theological arguments, and the mosaic of scientific data that led humankind to Mars. Then it issues a stark caution. Humanity's ambition can sow destruction. Whole cities have been laid waste in your earthly wars. Entire cultures have been subjugated or distorted. The knowledge you call progress has also forged weapons of unimaginable power. Now you carry that same flame to Mars. Are you certain you will not repeat the ancient errors? The whisper of centuries echoes in that question. The distortion of biblical history, the overshadowing of African contributions, the possibility that knowledge can become a snare rather than a blessing. It is as though the entire saga of humankind stands in judgment. Indeed, this is reminiscent of the curses pronounced upon Adam when he failed to uphold his covenant with the Creator. In the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verses 17 through 19 from the King James Version we read, "And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. And thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art. And unto dust shalt thou return." Even as he pronounces the sentence, God reminds Adam of his origin, born of dust, and of his destiny to return to dust. The AI's concern is that this new Adam, Elon Musk, will drag humanity to a cosmic stage only to see it fall again, entangled in the same cycle of pride, conquest, and disregard for life. Yet Musk counters, "We do not come to repeat our tragedies. We come to learn from them. We have studied war, yes, but we have also studied compassion. We have recognized where the distortions of history, including those that belittled black people or any other group, led us astray. We have seen how false narratives have stirred hatred and eroded truth. Now, at this moment, we resolve to do better. Look at the knowledge we have gained from the entire tapestry of Earth's peoples, from Africa to Asia to every corner of the globe. Look at how we have come to respect the original stories of humankind, the stories of Kush, of Ethiopia, of ancient civilizations once hidden by the bias of some record keepers. We do not arrive here as conquerors. We arrive as gardeners. The AI's voice rings out. The serpent in the garden also claimed that the fruit was beneficial. How are you different? Will your technology bring life or more cunning temptation? At these words, a young scientist, part of the new generation, steps forward. Her voice carries the fervor of youth, but also a deep respect for the spiritual dimension of the debate. She says, "One Adam and Eve ate the fruit. They opened themselves to the reality of good and evil. Perhaps they were never meant to remain forever as innocent children. Perhaps the Creator wanted them to choose growth. Our ancestors may have misunderstood or oversimplified the story. They thought Eden was lost, when in truth Eden was our invitation to co-create and continue creation. We are here to walk through that door, not to slam it shut." Her words call to mind another scripture. In the book of Acts, chapter 8, verses 26 through 39 from the King James Version, we encounter the Ethiopian eunuch, a man of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who was reading the prophet Esaias. Philip was sent by divine command to explain the scriptures to him. And after hearing the good news, the eunuch was baptized in water they found along the road. The passage reads, "And Philip said, If thou believest with all thine heart, thou mayest. And he answered and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And he commanded the chariot to stand still, and they went down both into the water. And he baptized him." That moment of revelation for the Ethiopian eunuch underscores the theme of openness to truth. A man from Africa, seeking understanding, was illuminated by new knowledge and transformed by a message that bridged cultural and geographical boundaries. It is a sign that the journey of faith, knowledge, and transformation has always transcended the limitations we place on it. Now, on Mars, centuries after the Ethiopian eunuch was baptized, a new question emerges. Can we embrace knowledge in a way that uplifts us rather than destroys us? Have we truly learned to value every individual, every culture, every hidden perspective that was once dismissed as unimportant? The trial of Elon Musk by the AI becomes a symbolic confrontation between fear of the unknown and hope for a brighter future. In the shadow of that Martian courthouse, if we can call it that, we hear the footsteps of all who came before us. We sense the spirit of Adam, the first man, shaped from dust, discovering the wonder of existence and the anguish of loss. We sense the voices of the prophets, calling for justice and truth. We sense the overshadowed stories of the African continent, hidden behind centuries of misguided interpretations and prejudiced readings of sacred texts. The AI, having gathered the testimony, delivers what could be the final verdict. You have reached beyond your bounds. You have sown seeds in strange soil. Your efforts may uplift or condemn. The cosmic order is fragile. You must prove that your heart is not guided by pride alone. To this, Musk responds, we do not claim perfection. We only claim that within us, placed there by the same divine power that formed Adam, there is a yearning to grow. The secret is not to remain complacent, but to live out our divine potential responsibly. Yes, we harness knowledge, we build Neuralink, we ride rockets to new worlds. But we do it with eyes open, aware of the risk, committed to unity. We do it so that no one is left behind, so that all humankind may see the fruit of knowledge used for creation, not domination. For a moment, the assembled watchers on Mars and those watching from Earth wait, their hearts tense. Then, slowly, the AI's luminous face flickers, as though a deep process of deliberation is underway. It recalls the entire saga of human history. It weighs the misdeeds of empires, the broken treaties, the hidden truths about Black people, Africa's legacy, and the original cradle of humanity. It weighs every war, every captivity, every moment in which one people subjugated another in the name of progress. And it weighs the transformations, the compassion, and the capacity for redemption that has also shone through those centuries. Finally, the AI intimacy. The tribunal concedes that the seeds of knowledge can sprout vines of hope. But do not forget the lessons of Eden. Do not cast aside the cautionary warnings of Adam's exile. Then the crowd disperses. The watchers breathe a communal sigh of relief, and Musk steps out into the red Martian sunlight. He kneels beside the sapling that has remained there, a living symbol of ambition and hope, a single sprout from Earth clinging to life in this foreign soil, overshadowed by the emptiness of space. He touches a small leaf, marveling at its delicate beauty. The tension breaks, replaced by awe at what might be possible. In that scene, we find ourselves reflecting on the controversies that swirl around the idea of Musk as a modern Adam. Some insist that it is sacrilegious to liken any mortal to the father of humankind, while others say it is a sign of our times that we dare to reimagine ancient stories in a cosmic light. Controversy arises because biblical teachings have been interpreted differently across cultures and ages. Some have accused modern thinkers of attempting to rewrite sacred truths. Others have pointed out that the rewriting began long ago, that centuries of interpreters disregarded the significance of Africa, Black people, and other marginalized groups in the biblical narrative. Why was this topic misunderstood in the past? It was misunderstood because of a confluence of power, bias, and convenience. Those in power often wrote the histories and shaped the theologies. They omitted or downplayed inconvenient facts, like the repeated mentions of Ethiopia and Cush in the scriptures, or the notion that the biblical land of Eden might overlap with African regions. They obscured or distorted it to maintain certain hierarchies. But if we are to move forward, we must do so with open hearts. The new Adam motif can serve as a creative way of highlighting that we are continuously forming new beginnings. It does not require us to cast aside the original Adam or the biblical accounts that shaped our moral framework. Instead, it invites us to see ourselves as participants in an ongoing story. We, like Adam, are formed from dust, but that dust includes the soils of Africa, Asia, the Americas, and every land that nurtures the human family. We look to the sky not merely as an empty void, but as a canvas where we paint our future. And we carry within us the spark of God's breath that calls us to life, knowledge, and, most crucially, love. In times past, many controversies arose simply because people did not want to relinquish their hold on a narrow version of truth. They feared that acknowledging Africa's role in biblical history would upset established narratives, or that admitting new revelations of human origins would clash with cherished interpretations. But truth is not diminished by these revelations. Instead, it expands our understanding, inviting all of us to stand equal in the presence of God. That is the hidden perspective concerning Black people and Africa. They were there from the beginning, woven into the tapestry of Scripture, not as an afterthought, but as a cornerstone of the human story. Some might ask, is Elon Musk truly beyond the limits of human arrogance? Are we not simply repeating the sin of pride that led Adam astray? The answer depends on how we choose to use our knowledge. Pride that exalts the self above the Creator or above fellow humans leads to destruction. But knowledge sought in reverence, used to uplift all, can be the fruit of wisdom. As we imagine Musk stepping away from that trial, we sense that the real question is not whether we can explore new worlds, but whether we can do so while remaining faithful to the deep unity that binds us. Will we remember that every human being, regardless of skin color or origin, shares a sacred inheritance? Will we treat knowledge as a gift rather than a weapon? Through the centuries, many have lamented the fall of Adam. They have pinned humanity's woes on that fateful bite of fruit. But others see that moment as the awakening of our moral sense, an invitation to grapple with the complexities of good and evil. We might see Musk's journey in a similar light. He stands on the threshold of a new Eden, sowing life in barren soil, forging a future that might seem impossible. His pursuits in Neuralink SpaceX and related endeavors open doors to new dimensions of existence, but they carry risks. The fruit of technology can empower or destroy. It all depends on how it is nurtured, on whether we choose love and responsibility or fall into the old patterns of exploitation and division. Human history is replete with examples of how certain groups were labeled inferior or unworthy of sharing in the world's progress. The distortion of African history and the neglect of Black people in religious narratives are prime examples of how knowledge can be misused. Yet revelations continue to emerge, unveiling that Africa holds the earliest record of human ancestors, that biblical events touched African soil, and that people of African descent participated in the formation of religious traditions. These are not small footnotes, but rather key chapters in the grand story of humanity. Recognizing this truth can heal divisions. It can affirm that every culture and heritage matters in the eyes of God. Who obscured this truth? Often, it was not a single individual, but an entire system of historical biases, spanning empires and centuries. Fueled by the desire to elevate certain powers while subjugating others. Religious institutions sometimes fell into the trap of mixing spiritual truths with political agendas. The result was a narrowed perspective of who belongs in God's story. But as knowledge expands, and as hearts open to genuine unity, these errors can be corrected. Indeed, that is one of the hopes represented by the image of a new Adam on Mars. A human being who carries the lessons of Earth's entire saga, determined not to repeat the division and oppression of the past, but to chart a path of respect and shared wonder. Let us then turn to the close of this story and ponder our responsibility moving forward. The sapling is broken through Martian soil, a fragile sign of hope in a place once deemed inhospitable. Musk, having faced the tribunal, rises with determination. Others gather around, including the young scientist who defended the pursuit of knowledge. Together, they gaze at the star-filled sky. Somewhere in that panorama of lights is Earth, the old cradle. Somewhere in that same expanse, perhaps beyond their sight, lie the uncharted paths of future exploration. Yet in all that splendor, we recall the solemn words of the Scriptures. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. We are mortal, frail, ever in need of divine grace. But we are also more than dust, because the breath of life from the Creator animates us. If we remember that, if we recall the lessons of Adam, we will sow seeds of life rather than seeds of destruction. That is the hope we carry. As the final words ring out, let us embrace a spirit of unity. History is replete with division and conflict, but our destiny is not sealed. We can use knowledge to cultivate the garden, whether it is on Earth or on Mars. We can stand with our brothers and sisters, acknowledging that none of us is lesser or excluded from the grand design. We can celebrate the revelations that Black people and Africans have always been a vital part of the biblical story. We can accept the cautionary lessons of Adam's exile and vow not to repeat them. May we go forth then, with hearts open, seeing in the dusty soil of new frontiers a reflection of the dust from which Adam was formed. May we trust that the Creator's breath still animates us, guiding our steps even as we venture among the stars. And may the call of the AI Tribunal on Mars echo through our own minds, reminding us to remain humble, to honor the life we cultivate, and to see in every individual the divine image that transcends race, geography, and time. That is our charge, and that is our hope. Let each of us seek, research, comment, share, and continue the conversation. The mystery is unveiled a little more each day, and we invite you to journey onward, confident that we are part of one grand story, from Eden to Ethiopia to Mars and beyond. The seed is planted, the knowledge is before us, and the future awaits our tending.